I'm Igor and this is the List Building Lifestyle, a podcast for those who want to build a large profitable email list and make six figures from anywhere in the world. If you would like to get rich by building a large email list while helping people, this podcast is for you. I also invite you to attend a free web class I'm conducting this week to find out how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers at a profit. Secure your free seat at igor.cx. Attend this free workshop to discover an easy way to get 50 to 500 new email leads per day on complete autopilot without losing tons of money. Just go to igor.cx to attend this free web class. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. Welcome back to another episode of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor K-Fats. A lot of people approach me at seminars and on coaching calls and they ask me, Igor, do you do affirmations? Do you do what the self-help gurus recommend? Do you start your day by, stating out your affirmations or incantations, any way you want to call it really, into the universe to attract more money and success into your life? Well, to be honest with you, when I started trying to make my own line, I did that. I no longer do it because I feel that many of the affirmations have already been sort of installed in me. And, the one thing I really hate about affirmations is just how much time it takes for them to actually make any sense to you internally. In other words, it's okay for you to state things out loud and to kind of shout into the universe, hoping that the universe will respond in the same vibration if you're into the metaphysical stuff. But what I'm not okay with is just literally standing in the middle of your house and just shouting things into the universe without having any sort of impact on my internal state. Because what I learned is that oftentimes in order to learn something, I need to actually do it. In other words, if I hear something or I learn about something or I read about something or I try to say something, I may understand, but it's when I do it, that's when I truly internalize it, which is when the affirmations actually work, when you truly internalize a belief. So what I decided to do in this episode is not to really go into why affirmations don't work. That's not true. Affirmations do work under certain circumstances. Again, the most important one being is that you have to internalize the words you're saying and for those words to have emotional impact and for you to actually feel that everything you're saying is true, right? On this episode, what I want to do is I want to give you a couple of ideas to really good affirmations that help me along the way. I've created these affirmations for the most part after I made my first significant paycheck online, not before, right? So these affirmations are not really so much as things that I shouted into the universe when I was poor. These are mostly things that I internalized as a result of becoming rich. So if you are currently not rich or under the income level, below income level that you want to be at, then these affirmations will simply help you get there faster if you're able to internalize them. Again, the most important part about when you're sending signals out into the universe, which most people miss, is they don't send out an emotionally charged signal, right? And I don't want to get metaphysical or really just go into the whole secret, area of self-improvement because it's, for the most part, it's really overrated. But what I can tell you is that it does work if you truly believe what you're saying. So if you can pull the rabbit out of a hat and literally state these things, whether out loud or, in your heart, and feel the emotional impact of everything you're saying, then these affirmations will help you get richer. If you can't, which for me was always the case, I could never really just stand in the middle of the room, shout things and believe in them. Like, for example, when I was a part of that cult in Florida called Self-Discovery, they would used to make us stand together in a circle and just shout things that we wanted to get in life. Like, for example, I remember shouting something like, I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise, or something like that. Like, when I did that, I felt stupid because, I need physical proof to becoming, wealthy, healthy, and wise. Therefore, I never stuck to it. It didn't quite work for me. It was the hardest part of the whole, exercise, of the whole cult building exercise, for me to just state things out loud and believe these things were true. But every now and again, I did something, was different, and I said things I believed, and that created a big impact for me. So let me give you a couple of ideas for the kind of money affirmations you could be and should be using in your life if you're that kind of person, if you're into affirmations, and that will help you get richer. So the first one being is, I'm a money magnet. Again, keep in mind that these affirmations, I created them, I wrote them down only after I made money, only after I became what I considered to be rich. For me at the time, was making my first $100,000 in less than a year. And, for me, that was like becoming a billionaire. So I truly believe that I am a money magnet. Like at this point in my life, I truly believe that if I just stand and do nothing, if I just, sit on my ass and do absolutely nothing with my life, I will still have money coming into me in a form of opportunity that I will be able to capitalize on thanks to my marketing skill set, my business skill set, my entrepreneurial skill set. So, at this point in my life, I truly believe that I'm a money magnet. And if you can instill this belief before you become rich, you will get rich faster. Then we got, I easily attract money and abundance. And the keyword here is easily. It's italicized. Now, the reason for this belief is because a lot of people make it hard. A lot of people have the belief that you need to work hard in order to make money. This belief is not true. This belief couldn't be further from the truth, because some of the richest people in the world, when you look at how they work, you'll notice that they work probably less than you do. They work smarter, sure, but they don't work harder, and they have other people working for them. They have systems working for them. When it comes to technology, they know how to create leverage in their life by having either other people or other mechanisms of some kind working for them. Therefore, they make money easily. In fact, another affirmation here that I've got here is, the less I work, the more I make. Now, this one was really hard to embrace, because I hustled, right? I hustled to become who I am today. And, the hustle requires you to kind of grind, right? So I would literally wake up at about 6:30, 7 a.m., which is when I was sending out the first email to my list. And I would stay up all the way until like 2 a.m. With sporadic changes maybe. But for the most part, I hustled and I put in the grind. I did everything. So for me to transition from hustle to make money to the less I work, the more I make, was a really painful and difficult transition. It took me about a year in my business until I learned how to get great people to work for me in order to free up more of my time. And, since discovering that, truly, I probably couldn't go back to it. I mean, I enjoy what I do, but if I was trapped doing the things that I hated, or if I felt that I needed to work harder in order to make more money, I would probably not be waking up in the morning and doing what I do today, because, it would simply beat there's no point. There's no point. For example, I got a 6-year-old daughter and a baby on the way. So naturally, the more kids you have, the less free time you've got. Now, that's probably true until you have about 5 kids or so, because then, you've got the little helpers growing up. So it's easier. But my point is that with so many things going on in our lives, we have to eventually embrace this concept. The less I work, the more I make. And I highly suggest you ponder on this one, especially if you're already making some money in your business, but you're finding it's really hard to scale for you. So you truly need to embrace this one to get to the next level. Now, the next one is very, very important, because many people are stifled and held back by the belief that money is a zero-sum game, that money runs out. In other words, that if Jack and Jill are both trying to make money online, and Jack made $1,000 today, then Jill will make $1,000 less today. That is not true. Jill's income and Jack's income have nothing to do with each other, and the fact that one of them is a millionaire does not mean that the other one is deprived of millions. No, that money doesn't work like that. Money is a never-ending a replenishable, infinite resource that runs continuously. And if you attract it correctly, you will have as much of it as you need. In fact, there's a whole argument about you making exactly what you deserve right now, and not because of the marketplace, not because of someone else making more money. No, you're making that because that's what you're worth, because that's what you're, as the T. Harv Eker says, your money thermostat, that's what you're worth inside. That's what you believe you're worth inside. So that's why, for example, you see that people who go on to make, say, $100,000 a year, even if they get a job, it's really hard for them, virtually impossible, to go below $100,000 a year, because their money thermostat has been set at that amount, and if anything, they won't go down, they won't go below that. Now, for people who work jobs, unfortunately for them, they also won't go beyond that, unless they really start wondering what's next for them. They'll stick at that amount, and that's, if that works for them, then great. But for me, it was never the case. So I'm always working on improving the thermostat, if you will. So one of the beliefs that really helps with that, one of the money affirmations, is money simply moves around. It's not a zero-sum game. It's easy to get and easy to keep, right? So this affirmation is really important, especially, again, if you're struggling to pass a certain income level. A lot of people I've met throughout my life where they would make some money, even if there was some extra money coming in out of nowhere. They'd find a way to get rid of it because of their money thermostat. Or I remember having this salesperson working for me, and they would have a thermostat set to a certain amount, and it doesn't matter if they had a great beginning of the month. If they started out the month with 10 sales and they made, say, 20 grand, they would not make a sale until the end of the month because their thermostat would be stuck at that, and something would happen. Like, people would ask for refunds, they won't close any sales, some kind of money issue would come up that would force them to take money out, or maybe to take a couple of days off work, and the same thing, the vice versa. Like, if they started out and the first 15 days of the month they haven't closed a single sale, you can bet that in the next 15 days they'll close the whole month quota because of their thermostat. So that stuff's real. I highly recommend you work on your thermostat, and definitely take note of the money is not a zero-sum game affirmation. Now, another great one that kind of makes you feel a little bit better inside, especially if you went through a lot of rejection in your business, is people around me insist on giving me money. I always get a resounding yes when presenting my clients with an opportunity to give me money. Now, notice the wording on this affirmation too. It's not about, people love buying from me. It's not about people wanting what I sell. No, it's people say yes when I give them the opportunity to give me money.
Yo, it's Igor. If you're loving the content, hop on over to listbuildinglifestyleshow.com for more free training and a free transcript of this episode. Oh, and I'd really appreciate if you logged into iTunes and rated the show. It really helps. Thanks.
Now, this not only gives you a great affirmation you can practice every day, but it also implies a different mindset, because it sort of says that you're doing people a favor for allowing them to buy from you. Now that's big. That's subtle yet big, because if you're approaching people from a standpoint of neediness, you'll never make money. Just like, if you're trying to date and you're approaching women or men from a standpoint of neediness, you won't make money. Again, neediness repels people and prospects. So that is why the affirmation is worded specifically this way. Keep that in mind. Now, here's another one. It's easy to get richer and richer every day. Now, the reason I installed this belief and identified eventually is because at some point, once you've hit a certain goal, you tend to feel that it's impossible to go beyond. Like, sometimes we have these garden rails that basically say that, we should and we can make a certain amount of money every month, but going beyond that is simply not for us. Like, as if we don't have permission, or as if we we don't qualify, or maybe we weren't destined to make that kind of money, or maybe we don't have the right education, whatever, right? So I noticed that a couple of times in my life when I couldn't hit barriers, like I would reach a glass ceiling and I would spend the next year and a half making the exact same amount of money each and every month, sometimes a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower, but I would always average at the same, number. So I recognized that I must have had a belief that said I'm not worthy. And I did. Now, the way I fought that feeling was not using affirmations, incidentally, was by going to seminars and meeting people that were making more money than me. And obviously for that to be true, or maybe not, it really depends. But, basically, if I had an impression of someone else making more money than me, if I had an impression of someone who's like 10xing what I make, and I hung out with them and I checked them out and I got to talk to them and I got to got to feel them, and then I realized that, oh my God, they're just normal people, they're dysfunctional just like me. They're normal, and there's absolutely nothing special about these people whatsoever. That allowed me to say, okay, you know what? I am worthy, because if they can do it, I can do it. Which is, another reason why when you're putting out testimonials for your services, or when you're trying to build a case study portfolio, make sure you put out a case study with the people who are least likely to succeed in life. In other words, if you can find somebody with 79 IQ who grew up in a trailer park, post that about them. Don't post about an Ivy League, graduate who lost his job because of some new Trump law or whatever, and they were already capable before they started an online business. You know what I mean? So make sure you do that. Make sure you show the lowest common denominator, the most dysfunctional people you can find getting results with your stuff. That's when you start getting way better response to your case studies and testimonials. Now, another great belief is my life is awash with money-making opportunity. Of course, it also correlates with I'm a money magnet, but basically what it means is that you try to condition your brain to spot money-making opportunities all around you, because there's literally money hidden in plain sight, but a lot of people are simply blind to it, and they go around, they live their life surrounded by money that they never get to pick up and walk away with. So definitely something for you to consider. Now, the other belief, it's not really a money belief, but it's a belief that's really helpful as far as getting you to a point of attracting money, and that is, I love being rich. I have this one in bold because I grew up in a world where rich people were criminals. In other words, if you were driving a black BMW 7 Series, you're probably the drug lord. If you were driving a black BMW or a white BMW 5 Series, you're probably the drug lord's son. If you were driving a 3 Series BMW, you're probably like a low-level criminal. But there was never this wide acceptance of rich people back in the Ukraine in the 90s, because anyone who became wealthy usually became that way. Well, at least the perception was, and the conditioning that I received, they became that way by engaging in some sort of criminal activity, and they were feared. So on one hand, I concluded, observing everything that I was observing as a kid, that people who have money get respect. And I really wanted respect and admiration from other people. So I wanted to be rich, and eventually I fulfilled that goal in a different world, in a different society. But still, that hasn't changed. And then, I recognized after a certain point that I really felt bad about being rich. A lot of times I was shy. I was pretending not to be. Like a lot of times I would really downplay what I was doing and how much money I was making at the dinner table, and not to embarrass other people, but because I knew that if I said or showed that I was rich, people would think I'm an asshole or a criminal. So it took me a while to accept that I'm now a rich person, that I think like a rich person, I live a life like a rich person. Therefore, I should wear that hat proudly. Which brings me to another sort of belief. And that is, whoever you are, whatever you do, wear the hat proudly. This is something I learned from my friend David Deacle, the founder of the Funnel X system. He just doesn't give a shit. Like, he just doesn't care. The guy has zero neediness about anything, especially about money or the relationship that he has with other people and money. So if you get, kind of strip the neediness from your life, you'll notice that money and partners and relationships and opportunity, just kind of everything throws itself onto you because of lack of neediness. Kind of like when you stop asking, things come your way. So it's really, really cool and something for you to consider. And so let's do one more before I send you off to practice. Okay, and that is kind of looking at my list here. One that truly stands out. One that truly stands out is my family benefits the most from the money I make. Therefore, it's my mission to increase my net worth every single day. Now, the reason this belief, in my opinion, is one of the most important ones for me is because I learned this secret from one of my mentors, Craig Ballantyne. And Craig said, if you wanna make sure you accomplish something, always tie it back to the people you hold yourself accountable to in your life. For me, there's only two people. Actually, there's more than two, but in terms of like a life or death commitment, right? There's only two people right now, and there's a third one on the way, and that is my wife, my daughter, and my unborn son. And if I can tie back anything I do back to how it makes their life better or how I'm protecting them from harm, immediately, anything I do from that point forward becomes easy because it's tied emotionally to the well-being of my family. Now, therefore, what I've decided to do at some point is I've decided to connect my well-being and the well-being of my family to the amount of money I was making. And I created this belief that the more I make, the better father I am. The more I make, the better husband I am. And eventually it also spread across my other relationships. For example, the more I make, the better leader I am. The more I make, the better friend I am, and so on and so forth. Now, I recognize how it sounds, how it may create this this neediness about money and self-worth. And you know what? I'm totally fucking fine with it. Like, really, because I spend most of my time either thinking about how to make more money or actually working to make it. Therefore, I'm fine with the idea that, people may attach certain value on me because of the money I make. Because you know what? I wouldn't attach value to me if I wasn't making any money. Like, that's one of the scoreboards that I use in order to define how well I'm doing. So while I don't necessarily feel that money defines me as a human being, but I do feel that in society, in terms of societal and relationship-wise, it does help. Money simply multiplies the kind of person I am. So the more I can multiply the good qualities that I've got as a person using my money, the better off I know my family is, my friends are, and the people who rely on me every day to be their leader are, as well as, not only my teammates, but also my clients. So my family benefits the most from the money I make, and therefore it's my mission to increase my net worth every single day. Is truly one of the most powerful beliefs I installed in my life, because it allowed me to just strip everything else. It made everything else not important. It made everything else insignificant compared to my ability, desire, and skill set to just increase my net worth all the time. So if you've got something like that, if you always wanted to do something and never could get yourself to do it and you're experiencing heartache about it, see if you can tie it back into your loved ones. If you can, you'll notice that it's going to be much easier for you to wake up in the morning and indulge in that one thing right away. So this concludes another episode of the List Building Lifestyle, and my purpose with this episode was to help you define correct money affirmations, as well as give you some realistic advice about how to actually use them. Because again, most people have it wrong. They think they're going to say things out loud or say things in their heart when they wake up in the morning, and things will just magically happen. That's not true. You have to internalize them, and you have to experience emotional impact every time you say this stuff for this to actually work, which is, a whole other story in of itself. It's a whole other skill set, and very few people that I know actually got rich that way. They didn't get rich using affirmations. They actually created affirmations after they got rich so they could teach other people how to do it. But again, until those people became rich themselves, they couldn't truly understand the meaning of everything we've talked about on this call. So I hope this puts you on the right trajectory. I sincerely hope this helps you set your frame correctly, but don't expect to get rich overnight. Okay, that will not happen. So on this really, positive note, it's time to end the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time we chat, have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the List Building Lifestyle. Get access to previous episodes, the transcript of today's show, and exclusive content at our website at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. Also, don't forget to claim your free seat at the traffic workshop I'm conducting this week, where I'm showing how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers without losing money, and how my clients are putting anywhere from 50 to 500 new leads per day on their list at a profit without any list building experience. Just go to igor.cx to claim your free seat now.